From a branding point of view, calling yourself the Augathella fella doesn't immediately scream that you're a professional therapist, but Graham Cotter is not your typical therapist by any stretch of the imagination. The Townsville-based rapid transformational coach grew up in Augathella, just northeast of Charleville. He looks and sounds like a bushie, and before shifting gears into his current career path, he operated a successful transport firm. And Graham hopes that unconventional journey will make him more approachable for Aussie blokes when they really need someone to talk to. And we know Aussie blokes sure could do it with a whole lot more talking given the state of our mental health. The Augathella fella is with us this afternoon on Drive. Thanks for joining us, Graham.
Thanks for the opportunity, Adam.
How does a bloke from the land in Augathella end up becoming a therapist?
I guess it's sort of that's one that sort of escapes me at times as well, Adam. But like me to say, I come from the world of business and the rest of it. But it was I was moving out of that business side of things and was going to be a business coach, and then decided I didn't want to do business plans and cash flows, and sort of settle on the fact that the most important part of being in business or anything actually is where your head is. So. And I stumbled on the recipe as rapid transformational therapy, and it's certainly had a big impact on my life. I've been on this journey for about 8 years now, so wouldn't be playing in this space if I didn't believe in it. So yeah, that's about sort of a brief one of that. I mean,
I've seen you refer to yourself as a Schitt's Creek tour guide. What do you mean by that?
I think most of us have been up Schitt's Creek, mate, most of the time without a paddle. So I think not too many people out there that haven't sort of ventured up good old Schitt's Creek, and I guess that's going to continue to be the case. But I guess the tour guide side of things is that it's so it's not as bad as what it seems at times, So
you do a number of different things with your work, but hypnosis, I understand, plays a role. How effective have you found hypnosis to be in helping people that are struggling?
Yeah, well, I guess from part of this journey has been an amazing learning experience for me, Adam, because I sort of don't come from this background, that sort of a background, but basically, sort of 5% of our thinking is in our conscious mind, and the other 95% is in our subconscious mind, and basically, that's your subconscious mind makes your heart beat, your lungs breathe, and all those sorts of things. But it's also where the rest of your emotions and the way you react to things are automatic, and they come from that programming which happens from basically conception to the age of 7. We're in a state of hypnosis during that period of time, and what happens in that period of time is the programming that sort of, dictates the rest of our lives pretty much. So so basically most of our problems stem from the past, and until you address those, that programming is going to continue to run the same as a computer program.
Hearing here from the Augathella fella, Graham Cotter, who has transformed from running a successful transport business to being a transformational coach, but not without his own trials and tribulations. And we know that men in regional, rural and remote areas statistically more likely to report daily smoking, high-risk alcohol use, substance abuse, depression and anxiety than men from the city. When you look back at your own journey, you come from a pretty tough as nails part of Queensland, the land of the meat ant, Augathella, out there in southwest Queensland. What kind of bloke does that country breed, physically but also mentally?
I think they're pretty tough and resilient, like most blokes that are born in the bush, and I guess more often than not, unfortunately, Adam, is we sort of tend to keep our feelings and the rest of it to ourselves, and which is which is sort of detrimental to to our mental and emotional wellness at times, especially when things are getting us down, and sort of when you live in the bush and those sorts of things. It's a tough existence, and more often than not we just get up and get on. But by the same token, when the gremlins get in your head, then it's a whole different story, and I can vouch for that personally, as I've been there. I loaded the rifle and was heading off to do something, well, which was silly, but by the same token, to me, it was necessary and real at that point in time in my life, and that was only about 15 years ago. So
You got that close to actually putting something in your rifle?
I did actually have the rifle loaded, so and was heading down the back to climb through the fence. And
What stopped you?
Mate, I was probably I had 250 metres to walk, and I walked 50, and the other 200. But I sort of realised that that was I was going to leave behind more problems than what I was hoping to solve. So I actually sort of put my hand up and said I need some help. So which fortunately I did get, or otherwise I wouldn't be here today.
And Graham, with a really raw and honest account of just how close he came to succumbing to the black dog. This was in your 50s as well, Graham. We tend to think of younger men as really struggling with depression, and we do have a lot of concerns for younger men, particularly when it comes to suicide. But older men, it can impact as well, and particularly if it strikes you in your second half of your chapter or your journey, it can be really tough because it can really eat away at your identity.
Oh, definitely, Adam, and I guess to say, on reflection, I've only just in recent times sort of heard you say, just spoke about what I'd almost did, and but on reflection, there was two things that sort of stand out. Was one, I didn't talk to anyone. I didn't confide in anyone as to how I was feeling, and the other one that I sort of refer to as the ballbuster is the fact that what I would have missed out on in that intervening period had I done what I was intending to do. There's great grandchildren, great grandchildren, so many amazing things that have happened in my life since, and this journey I'm on now is a case in point.
I've heard it said from people that have kind of been almost to that brink and come back that they feel like the black dog, it's never gone completely, but you can learn to kind of walk with it. Has that been your journey with depression?
Mate, depression it's pretty amazing actually, and we don't realise how much control we have over it. To say, and that the hypnosis that I actually practice, the rapid transformational therapy, is it's in my case it was a fear of failure. It come from Augathella actually, and the education system that I grew up in. It was tough, and those things, as a 5-year-old, or getting flogged and what have you for getting something wrong, it wasn't apparent, all through my life. I did sort of suffer at times from depression, but sort of a culmination of things in the late 50s, and sort of when you're down in that depressed state, the world sort of lines up to give you a good kicking too.
Now, you've become a transformational therapist, you say, and you use things like hypnosis to help others. Have you had any success stories or wins, Graham, with people over the time you've been doing it?
It really is amazing, Adam. To say, people that have, sort of been in therapy for different kinds for many years. Once they recognise where that, the root cause of why they feel the way they do, and say, well, I'm not 6 years old. That event in my life, I'm 46 or I'm 35, whatever age is, I'm that age now, and whatever happened was, say, well, that's not me. That's not me. It's not part of my life now, and part of the process is when I do a session with someone, I do a recording that that they must listen to for 21 days, because you got to change that programming. It's and that repetition's the only way to do that.
Well, it's been an interesting journey for you personally, but just even listening to your story, it's been interesting just to follow the trajectory here from successful businessman to a man that was at the absolute depths, managed to pull yourself back from the brink, and now you're helping others. Graham, one of the hardest parts, and you would even have admitted this yourself, is actually realising you've got a problem, but asking for help. Asking for help is almost universally the most difficult thing for someone to do if they've never previously done it before. And what would you say to people about that?
Mate, there's, like you say, when you stop and look around, and part of the process that I, sort of apart from a one-on-one session is mindfulness. Investigate. Mindfulness, and mindfulness is just living in the present. The past you can't change, and the future you've got no control of. But if you stay in the present, and in my case, I spend 20 minutes each day to start my day meditating, which is, if you had to said that to me, 10 years ago, I would have said you got rocks in your head, mate. But it's life changing. There's, I can testify to that.
Calls himself, or is known as the Augathella fella. You've been hearing here from Graham Cotter with a raw account of his journey, and also a bit of an insight into some of the things that have worked for him in dealing with depression. Graham, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you for the opportunity, Adam, and I hope, if as a final word, if you've got a problem, put your hand up and talk to someone.
It's a great piece of advice, Graham. Have a great Thursday afternoon.
You too. Thanks, Adam.